guess I figure I might as well do another talk video since I got a little more comfortable with being relaxed, which is fine. Heck, don't fucking hurt me none. It's a little bleached out there, but it's all good. I was just thinking about when I was in a band that I created that somebody else tries to lay claim to just to get me irritated. But the truth is, I created the band. I was 15. I became 16. They were all 15. Bass player, didn't even know how to play bass, and we had to teach him how to play bass. Even though I didn't know how to play bass, we had to teach him how to play bass. How about that? Okay, pretty much I did it. I taught him how to play bass, even though I don't know how to play bass. How can you figure that one out? Anyway, so, okay, we can just go ahead and say it. The band was, early stages of me developing in my musical ideas and so forth. So it was kind of like somewhat creative, but it was goofy, like mixed with new wave and trying to throw punk chords in there. It just didn't work out. Over time, they were lazy bums. They didn't want to make any music. So I was making like 75% of all the fucking music. I was making most of the music and writing their parts because they couldn't even figure out good parts. So I had to fucking find a good part. And even their parts that they would have kept, if they would have ever kept it, would have made the song worse, So eventually I just kicked out of it. I didn't get kicked out. I kicked out of them. They were trying to avoid me when I was the creator. So, because they didn't want to get less money or something, I guess how people think, it's like, oh, well, then we won't make as much money as him because he's fucking creating all the shit. Well, too bad you were lazy. All right. Anyway, when we were doing gigs and stuff, we would have issues with, well, I wouldn't call them issues back then because there wasn't that many that would dare fucking go in a punk gig. But back in late 70s, people really did not, like faggots at punk rock gigs. So we were doing a lot of punk rock, going to a lot of punk rock gigs, 14, 15 years old. Maybe I was 15 and going on, but yeah. And, we enjoyed the punk rock gigs, and honestly, my band was not pulling off what it wanted to either. So, based on laziness from other band members and thinking they were all that hot shit with chicks and shit that would come to them, but then they weren't the main creators, so it was fucking hilarious. Like, they were getting groupie girls and shit. I got a few, but I didn't really like that because that threw me off my game. Anyway, so basically what I'm saying is, these gays would come to the punk rock gigs and they would just act like fucking punk rockers. They wouldn't even dare fucking bring a motherfucking kind of like rainbow in a fucking punk rock gig. Okay, now what happened was over the years, it just slowly got enveloped by lesbians, transvestite, faggots, all kinds of, model agencies jumped in to see if they could get photo shoots looking like a punk rocker. Really stupid shit. Altogether fucking ignorant. So I was glad to jump out of that whole music scene, and plus there was some good beats coming in from New York, and rap and shit started to pop. So I was like, yeah, I'm starting to get into these beats. I'm sick and tired of hearing fucking just shitty guitars and not properly done hardcore music. So I just said, fuck it, there ain't no one that can do it, so I'm not going to be a part of it. But when we were doing it, I noticed that the left's agenda the whole time has been to push this, into every little infiltrated club and everything, so that nowhere you go is it going to be without faggots and transvestites, okay? And so over time, but nowadays, this is jumping way ahead nowadays. This is what it's like. Now, people like in Africa and other countries, maybe at one time even shamed America's abuse of its own powers that it had, and we always had some abuse of powers in our own country because we were one of the quickest countries ever to rise. We had to run away from people that wanted us dead for killing deer. All right, so if we killed a deer, the king would have your head and burn you alive, maybe even. So we, of course, got a couple spies in on the Mayflower and shit, ran over here and said, okay, this place is good, stakeout. Yeah, the guys are here. We'll try to be friendly, but what can we do if shit breaks out? We're just here to fucking get away from England. And that's what we did. But nowadays, and I jumped back in time for a split second there just to throw that in there. But nowadays, you got all this trying to infiltrate and now, subsequently, totally censor you from your political beliefs in England. Now it's coming to the U.S. because Hillary Clinton's talking about how there's absolutely no oversight and something needs to be done. In other words, she doesn't want you on YouTube or any other platform saying what what you would like to say in a free country with freedom of speech and the Constitution. Of course, she doesn't want that, though. She wants you to be censored out of existence. If she doesn't like you, no more people telling her she needs to be in jail, even though she burned Fort McMurray, likely, to look for uranium. Other than that, the bottom line is these people have infiltrated government. They've infiltrated jobs. A lot of the truckers are winning lawsuits, against them for trying to mandate the masks and mandate the COVID things when the truth is, or the inoculations rather, when no one wanted to take that shit. It wasn't even verified as an inoculation and still can't be technically called one, even though they still do. So anyway, I had to do this speech because I had to realize these gays and these transvestites now run every punk rock fucking location. You go to any punk rock location without skinheads, and they're going to be rainbows and fucking hi, Hello Kitty, motherfucking queer faggots all over the place, okay? Not that I'm a hater of gays and shit, you can go do your thing, but don't jump into our gig. And that's exactly what happened over the years. They infiltrated all these rock, punk, dance, whatever. They could push their agenda. And as you can see, Kamala says, we need to make a correct democracy. But how are you going to do that if you let teachers decide what your kid is, a girl or a boy, just taking the advice of somebody's brain is not developed? I would call Kamala a motherfucking pervert. Straight up. A pervert, mangle mind, some people call them mush minds. Anything goes with that bitch will say to see if she can wrangle like a fucking cowboy, which she is not, because women have never been able to strategically go to war without the power and might of a man. The man has gotten us through so many things, even though wars, nobody really wants to go to war for shit unless somebody's attacking you or fucking starving you, okay? And then all bets are off, and that's a man. Now, women, on the other hand, they're waiting on the man to do something back then because they know damn straight they're not going to do it, okay? Now, I love women. There's a select few I love, and they're very loving towards men. They're friendly towards men. They're not disassociative or detectably disassociative from men. And if they're not, usually they're probably what I would call a good witch, if you want to call it that. Just a term, though. But a person with good nature, a good heart, somebody that is actually truthfully good and doesn't want to, say, go change your kid into a boy because fuck, that 6-year-old girl needs to make that decision now. The teacher will do it if you don't. No, we don't want those kind of motherfuckers in our fucking tribe, okay? So let's just call it what it is. A man does not want that shit in his tribe. Now, you're just going to say, well, you're a hater, you're a homophobe. No, I'm not afraid of any gays. Gays can do what they want. Just, go where it's more comfortable for you and don't try to make media out of your shit. And don't try to get media pigged out on your bullshit. I don't want to hear a gay guy complaining in a restaurant because they sound so stupid trying to make their point. And then you're trying to eat and enjoy yourself. And you're like, you know what? I'm not violent, but sometimes I just want to grab somebody. I won't say who, but I think you all knew who. And just throw them out the motherfucking building, onto the fucking pavement. Say, hey, don't come back in, bro. It's all good. Just be gay somewhere else, all right? Because I don't like the way a fag acts. That's my bad, okay, if you want to call it that. I don't like the way they act. To me, being near gay, I'll be nice to them, cordial to them as well. But the whole time I'm like, yeah, I'm sitting here with a metaphysical rotten egg in front of me, okay? So I listen to channels that talk about shit that is of interest to me as a man, and that is defense, protection. No one wants to go to war. No one wants to see MIAs. No one wants to see destruction. But if you're going to sit by and try to tell me somebody's going to come out like that, the bitch that's currently running me, that fucking shit's going to work as a cog in the machine, you're fucking nuts, all right? You're fucking ignorant. You're fucking a Manchurian candidate. You're fucking a douchebag.